He's one of Hollywood's most loved stars, a man who gave the world heroes like John Wick and Neo. But on his birthday, there were no parties, no friends, no flashing lights, just silence. Keanu Reeves sat alone until a single knock at his door changed everything. What happened next would remind the world why he's more than just an actor. He's a man with the kindest soul in Hollywood. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's dive into what really happened. It was supposed to be just another quiet evening. Nothing special. No celebrations. No noise. The world knew Keanu Reeves as a Hollywood legend, the man who brought John Wick and Neo to life. Fans adored him for his calm humility, his quiet charm, and his kindness that felt rare in a world full of fame and ego. But behind that soft smile was a man who carried stories of pain, stories a camera could never capture. And on this particular evening, his birthday, there were no parties, no red carpets, and no friends waiting with surprises. Just silence. Keanu sat by the window in his modest Los Angeles home, far away from the glitz of Hollywood. A cup of coffee rested in his hand, its warmth slowly fading. Outside, the city lights blinked like scattered memories, bright, distant, untouchable. To anyone passing by, he looked peaceful, a man lost in thought. But deep down, Keanu wasn't thinking about fame or success. He was thinking about the people he had lost. His best friend, River Phoenix, gone too soon. His unborn child, a dream that never came true. And Jennifer Syme, the woman he loved deeply, taken from him in a tragic accident. Those memories never left him. They lived quietly in the corners of his heart, surfacing every year on this day, the day he was born. So birthdays didn't feel like celebrations anymore. They were reminders of time, of change, of all the faces that were no longer there to smile with him. The house was still. The only sounds were the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft tapping of rain on the glass. No one to surprise him. No one to call. No one to sing for him. He took a slow sip of his coffee and let out a quiet sigh. To the world, he was a man who gave millions of people joy through his movies. But at that moment, sitting in the gentle glow of his window light, his own world felt painfully, heartbreakingly quiet. And yet, in that silence, something unexpected was about to happen. Keanu leaned back in his chair, the quiet ticking of the clock echoing through the empty room. On the shelf behind him sat a dusty old photo album, the one he hadn't opened in years. For a long moment, he just stared at it, debating whether to relive those memories or leave them buried where they belonged. Finally, he reached out, brushed off the thin layer of dust, and opened it. The smell of old paper and time filled the air. Inside were moments frozen forever, photos from the 90s, the golden years. Pictures of movie sets filled with laughter, late-night celebrations, and genuine smiles from people who had become like family. There was River Phoenix, his best friend, his brother in spirit, smiling with that same spark Keanu remembered so vividly. And then there she was, Jennifer Syme. Her smile was soft, almost glowing, as if the photo itself still carried her warmth. Keanu's fingers trembled slightly as he traced the outline of her face on the page. His lips formed a small, wistful smile. "Happy birthday, old man," he murmured under his breath. Half a joke, half a whisper to the ghosts of his past. The clock ticked past 9 p.m. Outside, the rain had slowed to a drizzle, tapping lightly against a window. He thought about the birthdays he had spent on film sets, surrounded by cameras and people, yet still feeling alone inside. Then there were the birthdays he'd spent in hotel rooms, far away from home, too busy to remember what day it even was. Now here he was, older, wiser, richer in every worldly sense, yet somehow emptier than ever. Fame had given him everything: money, recognition, love from millions of strangers. But in return, it had quietly taken something more precious: his peace. He sighed, picked up a small cupcake he had bought earlier, and lit a single candle. The soft flame danced gently in the dim light. No party, no crowd, just him and a quiet memory of the life he once dreamed of. He closed his eyes and blew out the candle. No wishes this year, just a silent breath for those he missed. And then, in the stillness of the room, a soft knock echoed from the door. At first, he thought he imagined it. But no, it came again. A knock that would change everything. Keanu froze. The sound was so unexpected, so out of place in his quiet home, that for a moment he thought he'd imagined it. A knock? At this hour? He set down his coffee, slowly listening. Then it came again, soft, polite, almost hesitant. He rose from his chair and walked toward the door. Each step echoed faintly across the wooden floor. The rain outside had stopped completely, leaving only the stillness of night. When he opened the door, a small figure stood there, a young girl, maybe 12 or 13 years old, holding a tiny, handmade gift bag decorated with bright colors and glitter. Her dark hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and her eyes shone with excitement and nervousness all at once. Hi, Mr. Reeves," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I live down the street. My dad said it's your birthday today." Keanu blinked, genuinely surprised. "You know it's my birthday?" She nodded quickly, gripping the bag tighter. "You're my favorite actor. My mom says you're the nicest person in Hollywood. I wanted to give you something." Keanu's face softened immediately. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," she said quickly, almost cutting him off, the kind of pure, innocent honesty only a child could have. She handed him the little bag with both hands. Inside, wrapped carefully in tissue paper, was a hand-drawn picture, a crayon sketch of Keanu as John Wick, standing beside a little girl and a dog under a bright yellow sun. At the bottom, in big, uneven letters, it read, "Happy birthday, Mr. Keanu. Thank you for making us smile." For a long moment, Keanu just stared at it. The drawing was simple, imperfect, but somehow it carried more warmth than anything he'd received in years. He looked back at the girl, who now seemed a little nervous. I hope you like it," she said softly. Keanu knelt down, his eyes glistening. "This," he said gently, "is the best gift I've gotten in a very long time." Her face lit up instantly. "Really? Really?" he said, smiling. A real smile, the kind that came from the heart. And for the first time that night, the loneliness in his home began to fade. Keanu stood at the door, still holding the little girl's drawing, when her parents walked up the driveway, a friendly-looking couple in their 30s. The father gave an apologetic smile. "I hope she's not bothering you," he said. "She was so excited when she found out it was your birthday. We just moved here last month, and she insisted we come by." Keanu's lips curved into a gentle smile. "Not at all. You're right on time. Actually, would you like to come in for some tea?" The father hesitated, surprised by the invitation. The mother smiled warmly. "We'd love to." Soon, the quiet house that had been filled only with silence and rain was alive again, with laughter, stories, and the simple sound of human connection. Keanu poured tea into cups while the girl explored the room, looking curiously at the books and guitars. The father told stories about his small business, the long hours, the dreams he still chased. The mother shared how she painted in her spare time, and her eyes lit up when she spoke about colors and creativity. The little girl, full of imagination, said proudly, "I want to be in movies someday. Maybe I can act with you, Mr. Reeves." Keanu chuckled, a real, unguarded laugh that filled the room. "I'd be honored," he said. For the first time in years, the sound of his own laughter didn't feel strange. It was genuine. The kind that comes from the heart, not the one you give at cameras or strangers. As the evening went on, the atmosphere turned warm and familiar. It didn't feel like a celebrity's house anymore. It felt like home, filled with warmth, voices, and simple joy. Hours passed without anyone noticing. When it was finally time for them to leave, the little girl ran to the door first. She turned back, smiling brightly. "Next year," she said, "we'll bring cake too." Keanu laughed softly. "I'll hold you to that." The door closed behind them, and for a long moment, he stood there, holding the drawing again. Outside, the rain had completely stopped. The silence had returned, but this time it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful, warm, alive. That night, long after the family had left and the softness of the city returned, Keanu stood in the middle of his living room, still holding the little girl's drawing. The crayon lines were uneven, the colors outside the edges. Yet somehow, it was perfect. It wasn't about art. It was about feeling. And for the first time in years, Keanu felt something warm stirring in his chest. He walked quietly to the shelf where his old photo albums rested, the same ones filled with bittersweet memories of laughter, loss, and love. He picked up a small wooden frame, slipped the drawing inside, and placed it right beside a picture of Jennifer Syme. For a long moment, he just stood there. The candlelight flickered softly across both pictures, one from his past, one from his present. It didn't erase the pain, not even close, but it reminded him that kindness was still out there, gentle, simple, and pure. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from fame, fortune, or deep conversations. Sometimes it comes quietly, wrapped in crayons, carried by a child, delivered with shy smile and a knock on your door. Keanu sat back down by the window, gazing out over the Los Angeles skyline. The city buzz as always, lights glowing, cars moving, life happening. But tonight, it felt different. For years, he had watched this view in silence, feeling disconnected from the world below. But now that same view looked alive. He took a slow sip of coffee, still warm from the pot he'd made earlier, and smiled faintly to himself. Maybe birthdays aren't so bad after all, he whispered. A gentle breeze drifted through the open window, brushing against the framed picture on the shelf. The paper fluttered slightly, as if agreeing with him. The next morning, cameras would catch Keanu Reeves stepping out his house, coffee cup in hand, wearing that familiar, calm expression. But this time, there was something different, a softness in his smile. It wasn't for the paparazzi or the fans or the world. It was for himself. Because that one simple knock reminded him of something he had almost forgotten, that even the loneliest hearts can find warmth again, sometimes from most unexpected places.